All right, you can open your eyes now. Surprise! It's me. I was in the neighborhood, so I thought I'd stop by. Not this neighborhood, of course, but the neighborhood. The main one. Kind of up to you what that is. I'm so glad you're here. I was just talking about you. Welcome back to the podcast. We've got Perrier today. I genuinely, and this maybe sounds not true, but I genuinely thought it said Pierre in the store, and because I had forgotten what Perrier is. Perrier. So I just thought it was a drink named Pierre, and I thought that was funny, and that fully influenced my decision to get it, but that's all right. Some influence is good, isn't it? A little bit of... welcome back to the Hole in the Pen Cap. It's my podcast. I'm Reier Cammerman, drinker of Perrier, owner of kind of strange toys. I was cleaning out, not that kind of, they're not like weird toys, but just kind of random retro toys. I was cleaning out my closet at my dad's house yesterday, and I found some toys, some old toys I used to collect, and so now I'm gonna give them to a friend's kiddo. But yeah, it's interesting to look back at that stuff and to kind of just see, oh, I used to have eight identical blue moose. Is it called moose? Yeah, that's the one that is just the same word. That's kind of strange, isn't it? It's just a pack of moose. All the same. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do with those, but we'll find something. We'll find a way. Find a way out of here, said the Reier to the tree. Why aren't those the lyrics, right? I believe it's episode 18. Yeah, this is episode 18, I believe, 6, 7, 18. And we're fairly consistent. I have not recorded in 2 weeks, though, because we were 2 weeks ahead. Woohoo. It was a great thing. I was very proud. And then I was finding it very difficult to be awake during the day. So that's on me. That's my poor quality. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people, I feel like I've talked about this on here before, but at interviews they'll ask about your biggest weakness or something, and then you're not really supposed to say the truth. I always do, and then it just ends up, I just don't get hired because they're like, oh, what's your biggest weakness? And I go, well, I mean, thanks for asking. I have a list. And it's always a lie. It'll be like, well, I don't show up on time sometimes because I get scared at night, and that, you just give these long, or, well, and, every once in a while I will quit, and then I'll come back a few days later and unquit, and you'll say unquit, and I'll say, yeah, I mean, because you're going to be like, not really fully sure if I quit anyways, because I probably won't say the words I quit. I'm going to sum it up in some other way. I'll be like, well, our time is done. And you'll be kind of confused, but where were we? Oh yeah, the weakness. Yeah, I'm trying to be better with my sleep schedule, because I generally like being awake at night. That's what I prefer. But it's kind of difficult because most other people don't do that. Obviously comedians, yes, we do, but I like being awake like really late, like I would say 3 to 7 a.m. That kind of 3 to 7 block those are my office hours. That's when I feel most productive, but I certainly am probably not overly productive. But around 2:45, you just kind of see a light turn on through the cracks of my the blinds in my windows, and then I plug in an open sign but it's on the inside of my room, so nobody can see it except for me. So I don't know how overly productive that is, but I plug it in. And then I clock in, I just kind of, I clock in, I start sweeping. I love to sweep, just making sure everything's set up for the day. I put out the condiments. And then I also, I clean the fitting room. You'd say, oh, there's condiments in the fitting room. Yeah, it's kind of a little bit of everything. There's like a railroad, I think, in there too. And it's also an Amazon factory. It's all in my bedroom. It's about, I would say, maybe an 8x8 foot space, maybe a little more than, I don't know. Maybe let's say 11 by 11. I don't know exactly how large that is, but it's very small. It's very small. So yeah, that's what and then I just sit at a typewriter like a secretary in a way. I don't know if secretaries ever had typewriters. I guess, yeah, to take, I'm just kind of taking the minutes, but nobody's talking, so I'm just, maybe I'm talking to myself and I'm taking the minutes of what I'm saying. I'm going, Reier, semicolon, I think it's a semicolon, right? The 2 dots, semicolon. And then there's, oh no, that's a colon. And then the semicolon, yeah, that would make sense. Then the semicolon is 1 dot, and then the dash, the hyphen, the comma. I couldn't think of the word comma. But I don't know exactly if it is a comma. Thank you for coming by. There's a motorcycle outside. I've been thinking, and I promise that it is true, but it's funny, it made me think of, because that would be an easy thing to lie about, because I am sure you couldn't hear it. Oh, there's a tree house in here, but you can't see it. That's always my default when I want to do something kind of absurd. I just go tree house or tree of some sort. And I think I would like to know how to ride a motorcycle. Obviously, financial aspect is not there right now. I cannot buy a motorcycle. But I don't know. I think it'd be cool to know how. I think, I just know it's so dangerous too. I had a friend pass away somewhat recently from riding a motorcycle. So that's definitely, I would never do, I don't think I would ever go on like the highway. I imagine, though, if I enjoyed it, I probably would end up doing that. I don't know. I guess I immediately contradicted I tend to do that. And now with like podcasts and everything too, I feel like you have to mean what you say the first time, which is kind of tricky, because I definitely don't always. Like I'll say, I don't know, like, oh, I'll this is the way I feel about whatever, and then 2 days later, I don't know. I'm definitely a bit of a chameleon in a sense, and but I'm like a chameleon that's the opposite of a chameleon, in that I don't adapt well to my environment at all. But I am I am really maybe kind of I like to eat bugs. I like to eat bugs. No, that's not true. You can't eat a buddy, right? No. I am a vegetarian. I had an interesting experience the other day. I went to do a sketch with a few of my friends that are comics, and the sketch will come out fairly soon, I'm sure. So I don't want to spoil it, but it had we were handling raw meat, and I believe they had told me, but I don't know if I maybe kind of forgot or if they maybe didn't say the raw meat part. I don't know, but I got there and there was raw meat on the table, and they're like, "Yeah, we're all ready." And I was like, "Oh, great." Yeah. And I did it. And then and there's nothing right. It was good. I think it was good for me to get out of my comfort zone, but it also felt, I've been a vegetarian since I was a child. I had a hiatus when I was like 12. or I think from like in the 11, 12 range, I had a hiatus. But after that, from like 12 to now, the only times I've eaten meat are when I get really, really drunk, I eat meat. So that's been told to me. Yeah, so that's hopefully, I don't think that's happened in a long time though, but, well, yeah, we handled the raw meat and I was proud of it sounds like a weird thing to be proud of yourself for doing, but I was proud that it wasn't freaking me out, like the idea of touching it. But also you'd say, well, Reier, it's like your moral compass. It's okay to be bothered by things that maybe morally bother you. And it's odd because it does morally bother. I would say the reason I don't eat meat is because it's mostly moral, but it's also like the texture and the actual eating, like the idea of eating it at this point freaks me out. Like I think I would be much healthier probably if I would eat meat, but I'm just not, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I think someday I may eat meat, but I remember as a kid I watched videos of like animals being killed. And that was like in my mind. That stayed in my mind for years and years and years of like knowing where something comes from is a very powerful thing. That's why that show, you ever watch that show How It's Made? It's I don't know if it's just on YouTube, but maybe it's on TV too, but it'll show you exactly how like major products are made. It'll be like Doritos or pillows or anything. And it's very interesting because once I don't know, it's like out of sight, out of mind, right? If you don't know that they have to, murder a scarecrow every time they make cornbread or something, maybe you get more cornbread. So, it's the first time we've recorded this year, I believe, in the new year. Hey, open it up. What is? Oh, it's not what I want. I wanted 1942. Oh, yikes! It was so close. So close. I've got my energy drink. Uptime. I just can't get them off my mind. I love Uptime. It's a good drink. I do miss, they haven't had the bottles in a long time. They used to have these metal bottles, aluminum bottles. They were my favorite. I don't know if other people care about the packaging of items as much as I do, because for whatever reason I do care. Like certain bottles or cans, like there's certain brands of water that I don't like, I think because of the packaging, or really brands of anything. I don't know. I know that's maybe that's wasteful or it seems uptight. I'm not particular about things, by how much they cost. Like I just want I love glass bottles, and I love aluminum bottles, and I love all the bottles. Not all of them, too, but well, yeah, it's been an interesting. Yeah, it's the new year, and it's exciting. I went to a party, a New Year's party. It was very fun on New Year's Eve, and I stopped and I got some fireworks at this fun little firework kiosk, and I wasn't even sure if it was going to be open, because obviously all of those are temporary, so they didn't have like a phone number or anything on the website, which I probably wouldn't have called anyways, because I imagine they wouldn't have answered. So it was so busy. New Year's Eve is kind of like their main day, I imagine. But I went there and it was fun. I bought some fireworks, and then I took them to my friend's house at the party. I asked first. I didn't just show up with a bunch of explosives. I mean, that would be. It's interesting it is okay, but it's only okay kind of on like 3 days a year, 4 days a year. Right? It's like the 4th of July, New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, I think, are mainly when fireworks, you get the pass, Otherwise, you are just lighting things on fire. But there's certain things you can light on fire. You can light logs on fire, but not anywhere. Like they have to be kind of contained in a little fireplace. Fireplace. It's interesting it's called that. I mean, I know exactly why it is called that, but there's a lot of fireplaces, right? Like candles, I suppose, are a fireplace. What other fires do we... The stove is a fireplace. But, they don't get the main name because they came afterwards. So they kind of get the nick. It's like when you're in school and you have someone with the same name. So it's like if everybody's named Sam, it's like one Sam, one Sammy, one Samuel. And then if they're, maybe if you can't make a bunch of different, like if it's Emily or something, so there's an Emma, there's an Emily. And then there's like an Emma too. I think that would suck. To be like Emma too. Yeah, I don't know. I had that with my first name, with Grace, but I never had that with Reier. Because I went by Reier for certain periods of school, and then I went by Grace for certain periods. So with Grace, yeah, I had that a little bit. But I also never really, I don't know. It was never probably like nobody. Oh, I think the other girl was Gracie. I hated when people called me Gracie. I don't know. It's interesting when people kind of take it into their hands to give you a nickname, right? I enjoy it. I think it's usually very sweet, but like for Reier, nothing would really bother me because I make it into a million nicknames already. Like Rye, Rhino, Refrigerator. What was that? Oh, Reier's Keepers. That was the one I thought of earlier. Reier Hydrant. So yeah, most people I think would just say Rye if they say anything. Rye. But yeah, for Gray, I just didn't like. I think it's just so feminine too that it is very childlike. I try to remember that, sometimes with my friends, like especially my male friends who have like just stronger, like Steve or something like that. I would, somebody would be, hey, Stevie, just kind of inherently. So and then I don't know, I talked to one of my friends and he was like, yeah, I don't really like, but it wasn't, I hadn't called him that or anything. It just came up in conversation. He's like, yeah, I don't like when people call me this. Like, the Eve, like if his name was Tim, it'd be like Timmy or whatever. I was like, oh, that makes sense. This is like, oh yeah, it kind of makes you feel like you're a little kid and I don't want that. It's like, yeah, that makes sense. So I'm trying to call people the name that they, not make up nicknames for people. Unless you can tell with some people it doesn't bother them. With some people, though, you can tell they want it to be that exact thing. I hope, has it been fun so far? I don't know. I didn't come, not a lot has happened this week. So this may be a little more of an improvisational, just kind of going off on strange rants as opposed to having topics. Because there just wasn't a lot. I mean, I know it's been 2 weeks, so you'd think maybe there should be more, but I've mostly been working, which I enjoy. I've been doing more shows, which is good. I'm so excited to be getting back in the groove. I think groove is like a little indention, right? Groove. There's like grooves on certain things, but I'm excited to be back into the groove. Of it all, because sometimes I just get into these writer's blocks or these lower periods where I can't think of anything, and I get all on. I feel bad about myself, But I've been trying to kind of do some more positive affirmations. That's what my dad's been saying. He's like, oh, you have to. He's been listening to like Spotify podcasts, I think, about positive affirmations. And so I think I want to do that too. I think sometimes I don't like listening to that stuff because, it feels like, oh, you don't know me though. like motivational videos. It'll be like, oh, you can do it. Like, we've never met. How do you know I can? And you don't even know what I'm trying to do. This is like a general motivation video. You don't know what I'm trying to do. Oh, you're encouraging me to rob my neighbor, to go into their home and steal all their belongings. I can do it. Oh, I'm 100% capable of doing that. You don't know me. But no, it has been good. It's interesting when one of your family members gets into that stuff, and then they start, like my dad and I were talking, and he was using all these like affirmations, and I was like, oh, this is really cool though. To hear it from someone that does know you is really cool. Be like, oh, you've got, like, it's not that wasn't happening before, but to a much higher extent now. But I don't know. It's so good to it's so important to be positive. I think we forget sometimes how our words affect ourselves and people. But yeah, I guess this year that's something I definitely want to do too, is just continue to be, or to be more positive, because everything will be good. And it's just a matter of seeing it, right? That's something I was talking to my dad about the other day, of like, when something good happens, even when it's really, really small, I try to get excited. I don't remember who it was, but I heard someone talk about that on a podcast a long time ago, like about it was called, he was like, every time I like find my keys or something, I tell myself win of the day. Never said, that was like 10 years, a long time ago. And so ever since then, that's what I'll do. Like if I wake up and I think I'm late, but then I look at my phone and I'm on time, I'll be like, oh, win of the day. But that's obviously, I don't mean to steal that. And I just am talking about what helps me. That helps me, to stay positive, to look at, it's interesting. Yeah. To look at the little things and go, oh, well, this could be worse, but this is okay. This is good. This is a good thing. It helps for sure. It helps. Well, my roommate found a puppy. I haven't talked about that yet for sure, because that was pretty recent. My roommate found a puppy and it's been staying with us. She's a really cute little Chihuahua. And my one of my friends at work is going to adopt the puppy, which is exciting. I don't know. I was thinking for a minute of maybe being like, hey, I'll adopt the puppy. That would be cool. But I just know that I can't offer that emotional, because puppies, they're so much work. And any dog, really, I just know I would feel really guilty about leaving a dog alone for the amount of time that I would have to do comedy. And I also sleep a lot, like during the day. And you've got to watch, I just would feel really bad, I think. But I don't know, at some point I definitely do want to get a pet. I don't know, I remember when I was a teenager, my brother had a hamster, and my dad put the hamster cage on the kitchen table because he was like, oh, the hamster's alone for, like whenever my brother wasn't there, he's like, oh, the hamster's alone a lot. This is really sad, so we've got to keep the hamster out here. So literally just on the kitchen table, we had a hamster's cage. So it would probably end up being something like that. And I have roommates, and they'd be like, Reier, can you take your chinchilla off of the washing machine? And I'd go, he needs to socialize. I go, what? Yeah, he needs to socialize. Oh, you don't want my goldfish in the Brita filter? All right, then how about you spend some fucking time with him? Oh, you don't? Oh, so what's a really odd animal? Oh, so my grasshopper can't live in your potted plant? I have to go to work. And then I just it's funny I have to go to work. Saying work like that is funny, because I've heard a lot of people say work. I have to go to work. Because work is a dramatic word, isn't it? Saying, especially if you like have to get up soon or something and someone's bothering you, and you go, I have work in 3 hours. It's just a very dramatic, because everybody, I think, is not everybody, but there's a lot of empathy for that, right? To be like, oh, I don't want to keep, you're going to have to get up and do your day, and which is good. It's good to be empathetic. Which is maybe the only kind of pathetic that it's good to be, would be empathetic. It's hard to say, but what are the other apathetic, apathy? Is that, so there's sympathetic, empathetic, and then there's one where you don't care at all. I think that's apathetic. Yeah, just been doing my best. I already talked about my bed. It started slipping, into like kind of like a valley in a way. I think so. I kind of ended up just putting it on the floor next to the bed frame. So then that was pretty much not the whole room, but a lot of the room. And so that wasn't working. And then I moved the little slats on the bed frame. I think I need to get like a hammer and nails and stuff, but I honestly have no idea. I know what would end up happening is I would go to like a Home Depot and I'd say, hey, I need some nails. And they'd say, oh, okay, like what size? And I'd go, all right, you got me. And I would go home because I'd have no idea. I have no idea. I mean, does it matter a lot? That's a good, yeah, it is weird to kind of raise that point. Does it even matter? Nobody cares. Well, no, they have to be a certain size so that they can fit into the allotted space. I think particularly for what I'm doing with the bed slots, it doesn't matter a lot because I'm just going to be pushing them into wood. Whereas for certain things, maybe it would if you're trying to put it through metal or something, I don't know. All right. Yeah, I don't know if this one if this episode has made a lot of sense, but I think that's all right. It's nice to not make sense sometimes because, then you can. It's nice to not make sense because so many things I think try to make sense, and then they're just kind of it's fun to just kind of drop out of the race, in a sense. Oh, in a sense, like if you're I would say it's the difference between like being on a swim team, right? And you have to swim laps versus like just being in the pool. That's kind of the difference between making sense and not making sense. Did that make? Yeah, I'm doing tonight I'm doing Good Evening with my friend Dane Lyon. He's a comedian. Good Evening News is the sketch show at sunset. So I'm excited to do that. We don't fully have it planned out yet, but it's going to be some sort of like balloon animal shelter volunteers. So I was trying to find, originally I was going to be a fortune teller. This is maybe odd, but I was going to be a fortune teller, but I couldn't really find any sort of, what I want is a glass ball, one of those that you look at. But I'll probably end up getting like a beach ball or something, and that'll be even funnier. But I wanted to find a glass ball somewhere, but I couldn't. So I'm excited about Good Evening. I think my issue with it is I'm so bad at planning ahead sometimes, for something, because I don't know. I think especially with writing stand-up, it's there's so many other things that you can put so much focus into. Like if I put a bunch of my time into roasting or like into writing roast jokes for a roast, and then I use it, you're only going to use it one time. Like Good Evening also is similar in that particular sketch I'm probably only ever going to do once. But it could be recurring characters too, and so that's definitely something. But yeah, I guess I find it hard to justify putting a lot of time into something that I only use once. And that's, maybe bad, maybe good, I don't know. I guess that would be a good thing, working on procrastination. I procrastinate a lot. I put things off. I take them off of the stove, and I don't put them back on for a while, and then they're kind of cold and weirdly cooked. And I wonder if you were cooking macaroni and you only cooked it halfway and you took it off for an hour and then you put it back on, would it affect the way that it tastes? I feel like probably not for macaroni, maybe for other things though, because then it would it would probably thaw in a strange way. But I suppose as long as it's being cooked at some point. But then you'd say, oh, does it have to go back in the fridge? And I'd say, I don't know exactly what I'm talking about. And you'd say, what? That's what you would maybe say, but this year, I guess that's the, thinking of resolutions and things. I want to be more productive, right? It's just so hard to be consistent with things a lot of the time, I feel like I just I do it like I'm most productive like one day on, one day off, one day to the side. I think I've said that before in here. I don't know, but that's kind of how I do it. I like to have a really busy, do a bunch, and then just pretty much nothing, and then a little bit, and then a bunch. And it's the same thing with cleaning for me. I don't like cleaning daily. But when I'll let things get really messy, and then I'll have a really big cleaning session, and it's honestly kind of fun. I like clean, yeah. But then I also always want to clean at night too, so that's my issue for sure. Is I'll start vacuuming at odd hours, or I'll want to vacuum, and then I just end up sweeping the carpet, and it's not really productive. But I did get a new vacuum. That's been good. It's nice to have a vacuum, like a really big. It's a pet hair one, and it's got those removable little handles that you put onto the vacuum, which is fun. It'd be funny if there were more than two, like if there were a bunch of different removable handles, and because I feel like there definitely are other. It would just be extravagant, I think, is why it would be funny. If there was one that was shaped like a flower, and there was one that was shaped like an energy drink, and that, just for instance, in a hypothetical situation. Yeah, it would be strange, wouldn't it? But, I wonder if there's anything. Oh yeah, I've been watching. I've been getting into some. I always get strange recommendations on YouTube that I end up kind of diving deep into, kind of penguin diving, kind of pencil, the pencil dive. Or I try to dive and it becomes a belly flop or something, but I end up getting into it. I've been watching a lot of this YouTube channel. It's not a channel, it's like a series from I think the early 2010s, 2010 or 2013 or something. And it's called Educating. And they go to British schools, and they follow, each series is a different province. What are the places in England, Britain? I'm so bad with geography and whatnot, but it'll be Educating Greater Manchester, or Educating Yorkshire. And it's really interesting. It follows these, the principal and superintendents and stuff, not superintendents, but it's mainly about behavioral issues in British schools, and how the staff deals with it. It seems strange, but it's always really funny too. But it'll be the principal, and then they'll have all these British kids that are I don't have to do what you say, or something, and then. Yeah, maybe I'm not pitching it well, but and then they, there's always a lot of very interesting characters, and there was one kid with a really bad stutter, and then one of the teachers figured out that it's not all behavioral, it's also social stuff and whatnot. One of the teachers figured out that if he had him listen to music, he could speak like without a stutter. And so it was really interesting. I mean, I've been getting into that. I do really like. I don't like movies or TV really. I'm sure there's certain ones that I do like, but not generally. But I do like just random YouTube stuff. There's a family. It's like a deaf or it's a deaf dad, and he has a wife and they have a kid, and then it's like the dad, doing sign language to the kid, and like like the Stacy goes to a deaf sleep, or Stacy goes to like a deaf meetup or something. It's very interesting. I find that stuff to be really interesting. I still would like to learn a lot more sign language at some point, I think. Because to me, it's a very beautiful language, opening up. I don't know, because I guess the other languages, they're just the same. They're verbal, right? And then sign language, it's kind of its own thing, and I like that. I like that it does its own thing, and it also is for people with a disability. It's for people that can't speak the other languages. So I don't know. I enjoy it though a lot. Yeah, I've been just watching a lot of strange YouTube things. Well, I've also maybe I don't know if this is. Usually, you're supposed to end on something pretty funny. This whole episode has kind of just been. I guess it's always just talking, but with maybe a little less guidance than normal. I drove a lot yesterday and today. Today wasn't as bad. Probably like close to 2.5 hours, or maybe 2 hours and 20 minutes or so. I drove back to Austin from my dad's, and that what was I gonna say? I don't know. Sometimes I do love driving, but I think sometimes, I like to talk with people and before I do a podcast, so I get into the mood of talking. So maybe I should call people more. God, I don't call myself enough. That would be kind of fun to call yourself. Oh yeah, I've been doing a lot of finger guns at people, just trying to establish dominance, Yeah, I don't think it's working, but see, just kind of from the bit. But I think people get the point. Well, thank you for stopping by this week. It was a fun one. This is episode 18 of The Hole in the Pen Cap. I'll see you next time. Thanks so much. Bye.